you want.
Oh, that's okay.
Yeah.
Okay, mate. Whenever you're ready.
Ready?
Yep.
Okay, Tony. How did you first get into skateboarding?
I mostly started skating because all my friends were into it, my neighborhood, and it was just huge. You know, it was really popular, and my brother was into it, and he gave me his old board, and I just kept doing it. And like everywhere you'd go, you know, you'd go down the block, and someone would have a little ramp set up, and I got to go to the skate park for the first time, and I just stuck with it. And then all my friends quit, and I don't know. It was like I just felt like I kept getting better, so I stayed with it.
How has it changed over the years for you?
Well, it used to be just, you know, a hobby. It was really fun for me, and I was in high school, and you know, making a little money doing it, but it wasn't like I was really relying on it as an occupation. And then once I graduated, once I graduated high school, things were really taking off, and I was making a decent living, and I just was traveling all the time, and I decided I guess that was my job. So I stuck with it.
How's the actual sport changed from since you were young to now?
The sport has just kept evolving. You know, it went through a lot of different phases. It was all pools sort of in the beginning, and then ramps, and then you know, all the skate parks kind of died off, and then went through a street phase, and people started to incorporate all the street maneuvers into the vertical, and now it's just like everything.
Yeah.
You know, it's like skating just encompasses so much now that there's not any like certain style that's only accepted. You know, you can almost do anything. So I think it's the best time for skating right now, and it's the most accepted it's ever been.
Yeah. What about all these kind of skateboarding over the years seems to be either in a slump or really popular?
Right.
Why do you think that is?
I think that it was. I mean, it's been popular. Skating's been popular like probably in 2 or 3 popularity cycles already, and this time it just feels like it's broken out of, you know, a fad, so to speak, and people don't really view it as just a trend. They see it as more of a legitimate sport, especially with like all these events that are happening and the coverage that it's getting, and kids are being, you know, are being weaned on these other types of sports instead of the traditional team sports. So I think it's going to have more longevity this time.
Okay, just quickly change spots.
Could you move back there?
Move back?
Yeah, stay in the sun if you could, please. Just that. Okay.
Only a couple of questions here, then we'll do the rest quite close.
Okay. It's a bit shadowy, is that alright?
Yeah, that's all right.
Sure.
Go over here.
Yeah, that's. Okay.
Ready?
Whenever you're ready.
So about the fact that skateboarding has now become mainstream, how do you feel about that? The fact that it was kind of extreme, but now it's kind of really...
I'm really happy that skating has kind of broken into its own, you know, its own area that people recognize that are not skaters, you know, because when I used to be a pro skater in the 80s, or even, you know, up to a couple years ago, you tell people they ask you what you do, you say you're a professional skateboarder, and they're just like, they don't believe that an occupation like that even exists, or they think you're just still a kid, you're not really making any money. And now you tell them that you're a professional skateboarder, and they say, oh, you're in the X Games? Oh, I've seen those commercials, you know, and so it's just become so much more accepted, and I just like the fact that means continued growth for the sport.
Is that all good? You know, the fact that it's really more serious now, big business, is that still...
Okay.
Is there any disadvantages, the fact that there is big business now?
I think that in some ways, you know, skating is going to get exploited through all these big companies trying to get involved with it, but the actual skating is going to stay true to its core, you know, and the guys, even some of the most popular skaters, are not the ones that you're going to see in the X Games or in the commercials or doing stuff like that, and they're still going to be the most popular skaters because of their performance and because of their purity for what they do. So I don't think it really takes anything away from skating. It just helps it grow initially, and then maybe the people who really decide they want to get into it, they see these other guys that they never even realized existed.
What did the X Games do for skateboarding?
I think the X Games have just helped skating grow into the mainstream and gotten a lot more people involved and interested in it, you know, by showing it for what it is instead of just like creating something that they think it is, you know, even though it's a little compromised because you include all these other sports, and so you have to make the terrain adaptable for them as well, and that's a little bit of a compromise for the skateboarders. But other than that, you know, if you look beyond that and you see how many people it reaches and how many people it gets involved, you know, it's done wonders for the sport.
Yeah. You described as what, you know, the Michael Jordan of skateboarding. How does that feel for you?
I don't know. Just, you know, that sort of title is an honor, but it's also kind of a burden. But I'm willing to accept it if it means that I can go and push skateboarding in a positive light, you know, and try to get people aware of what we're doing who would have never seen it. But I mean, really, I can't represent all of skateboarding, you know, because I'm not a hardcore street skater, and there are so many different styles that create what skateboarding is that I don't really embody necessarily. So, I mean, I do what I do, and I guess it's just because I've been around so long that people recognize me still. But I don't know, you know, I guess I'll take that responsibility as it comes.
Yeah. You're regarded as, you know, probably the best ever. Did you go out and did you set out to, you know?
The only thing I ever set out to do in skateboarding is to keep getting better. Not to get better than other people, but just to better myself, you know? And that's why I stuck with it. When all my friends quit and they went back to basketball and baseball, and I thought, well, I'm still getting better at this. I want to keep going at it. You know, even though no one was doing it, it didn't matter to me because I kept improving. And to this day, I still feel like there's some things I can learn and you know, techniques I can take. And so that's the reason I've done it, you know, not ever to be number one, but just to keep improving, because I love how many different variations of skating there is and how much you can do.
Okay. Well, you reached such a...
Keep going.
Yeah. You reached such a level now. Is it more and more difficult to improve?
It is getting harder to improve. I mean, also I'm getting older, and you know, I don't want to risk what I used to risk necessarily. But still, you know, it's definitely getting harder, and the tricks. I mean, to make up new tricks now, they have to be so technical that, you know, they're really inconsistent. They're, like, you know, maybe you make one out of 100, but if I'll go for that one.
Okay, can we just move you down here now? Just the last spot.
Yeah.
Thanks, Tony. Maybe you want to put that spot?
Right here? You have to move it. Okay. Just keep this on. Okay, Chief. And when you're ready, Ben.
So how do you overcome the fear of skateboarding when you're in the air?
I guess that's a tough question. Well, when I was growing up, I just never really realized the consequences of what I was doing, you know, and then once I got hurt, it wasn't enough to stop me from doing it. So, I mean, like, when I was growing up, I got knocked out a couple times and broke all my front teeth, and had some other, you know, minor injuries, but I just love the progression. I just wanted to keep doing it. And still, there's stuff today that's scary, but, you know, that's kind of the drive that keeps you going, and it keeps your adrenaline up, is the fact that you're going to do something that maybe no one's done, and it's scary and it's exciting, and, you know, I think you'll find similar mentalities among skateboarders.
It's quite a general question, but can you kind of tell us what you love about the sport?
What I love about the sport is that it's based on individuality. You can go and skate however you want to skate, and you're still just skating. You know, you don't have to follow a certain regimen. You don't have to train. You don't have to you know, eat certain foods and work out in order to skate. You just go do it, and you're still doing it no matter what, you know, and you'll still be accepted as a skater. And the fact that it just keeps getting better, technically, that's what I love about it.
What does it feel like when you're on top of the half pipe, or you know, when during a run?
Well, when you're middle of a run and you're a planned out routine, say in a competition, the whole time you're just thinking of what you're going to do next and how you need to land or how you need to set up for the next thing you're going to do. And so you're thinking so far ahead, you don't really get a time to enjoy what you're doing at the moment. And so occasionally, you know, if you're just skating on your own and you're just trying one certain thing, or you're going really high, you can sit back and go, wow, this is really cool, you know, we're 8 feet up, but still the whole time you're thinking, like, am I going to land okay? You know, am I going to go off the side of the ramp? Am I going to, you know, are my feet okay?
How important for you is it to win?
For me, winning isn't as important as it used to be. For me, just personally, if I can skate as best as I can and, you know, not even qualify, I'm happy, because how could I have done any better, you know? And other guys might have had what the judges thought better runs, but that's fine with me, you know, as long as I do my personal best, then I'm happy. And you know, winning is always a plus, but it's like, I've just been doing it so long, I can't really just concentrate on winning anymore, you know. I just like the fact that I'm still here.
What happens when you have a bad day?
What happens when I have a bad day? I don't know. Well, when I have a bad day, I get frustrated, you know, and maybe I'll try to concentrate on something else instead of whatever it is I'm doing, or just go off and do something completely different. But it's getting really hard, because I feel like lately I'm not really allowed to have bad days, because if I go out, then maybe someone's going to shoot something, and if I don't do it, then they think, oh man, he's done, you know. So that's getting a lot harder to deal with. But still, you know, everyone has bad days. What are you going to do?
During competition...
Can you say that again, that last bit? There's a bit of noise on that microphone. That's fine, it's just handling noise. Sorry, thanks.
I guess I think everyone's going to have bad days, you know. What can you do about that?
During competition, do you watch the other skaters?
I watch the other skaters during contests, but I don't really take anything or really, you know, plan stuff out around what they're doing. I just have my own style, and I just, you know, do what I can do and try to improve each, you know, going into the finals or get better your next run and stuff like that. But you know, I'm excited for the other guys too. Like, what they're doing is incredible, and there are a couple guys now that are just pushing the limits so far that if they have a, you know, if any of certain, like, 4 other guys have best runs of their day, I would want to be a judge, you know, because it would just be too hard to compare the different styles and what they're doing, and I'm just happy, like I said, I'm just happy to be part of it, and the fact that I'm still here, and if I can still, you know, prove myself, then I'll keep doing it.
What's the process you go through to making up a new trick?
New tricks come about in so many different ways. A lot of times it's just you'll do a trick and it'll be a mistake. You know, like your board will flip a different way or something, and you think, oh yeah, that's a possibility right there. Or just combining different tricks. You know, if you're doing one and you say, oh, you could add a heel flip into that, or you could add that from a 540 or anything like that. And sometimes they just come to you like, really, I have my moments of clarity right when I'm falling asleep, and sometimes I have to get up and write stuff down.
Do you pick moves off other skaters at all?
Yeah, we all definitely feed off each other for maneuvers, but some guys have kind of signature tricks, and if someone else were to do them, it would be considered copying. I don't know, it's kind of an unwritten sort of code of honor for all the skaters, but there are definitely certain guys that do certain tricks, and no one else really even bothers with them, because they'll be, you know, it's just like, it's definitely you got it from that guy, and you know, you can't do it as well as he does anyway.
What would your signature move be?
I guess for me, I mean, my signature moves, say in a competition, would be like a varial 540 or 720. not too many guys do those in competitions, and I don't do them all the time, but sometimes I'll try to get one out. And then just certain other, like, you know, like a heel flip varial lean air. I rarely see anyone do that, I think, just because they'll feel like, oh, it's, you know, that's just what he does, and so I won't really be considered an original if I do it. And there are other tricks, like if you know, if someone did a kickflip backside lip slide, that's Rune's trick, and so you wouldn't really want to touch that.
What happens if someone does touch it? Is there kind of all hell breaks loose?
No, not all hell breaks loose. It's just, you know, I guess it might be considered disrespectful, but it's not a big deal. You know, it's just like there's a real camaraderie among all the pros, and so, you know, that just kind of keeps it going.
In researching you, there's a lot of talk about last year at the X Games, wasn't it, when you dived into the harbour? What went?
Oh, that was
2 years ago. Or?
Yeah, a couple years ago.
Yeah, what went through your mind there?
Well, basically the street course was set up above a dock, and then there was like this 8-foot dock out. I don't know, it was probably like a 10 or 12-foot drop, but everyone had been considering doing it, and I guess there was a meeting that I didn't attend, luckily, that they said if anyone jumps in the water, you're disqualified. But I wasn't at that meeting, so I didn't really hear that, and people were just kind of considering it. They were looking at it, you know, and then it was my last street run, and I was like, yeah, why not, you know, got nothing to lose. So one of the guys from ESPN actually tested it for me to see how deep it was, and I saw him pulling up the pole that he was testing, and I realized it was deep enough, so I just went. It was a lot of fun.
What do you prefer, the street or the?
I prefer vertical just because that's what I grew up doing, and you know, I didn't really get into street until I had already been established.
Sorry.
So you ended up getting disqualified, did you, from the competition?
No, luckily I wasn't, but I did. The director came up to me like the next time I saw him and kind of grabbed. He's this huge guy and grabbed me kind of sternly. So I'm still pissed at you for jumping in the water.
The crowd went crazy, didn't they?
Yeah, no, it was great. I mean, you know, and I didn't really do that well in the street competition, but I got remembered for that.
This is mate. You've already been.
Okay, just a few more questions. All these, you've been around for a while, and all these, you know, new generation of skaters. How difficult it is to, you know, to keep up with them, or to stay kind of number one? Yeah,
it's tough to keep up nowadays, especially. All these guys are, you know, they're pushing limits all the time and still making up all this new stuff that I don't really want to bother to try. But it's just really exciting for me to be part of it and to still watch that process, you know, to see guys get an idea and then just go after it, and you know, I used to do exactly the same thing, and I'm just a little more calculated now when I do it, whereas before I'd think of something and just go for it, not even considering what's going to happen to me later. But yeah, it's tougher to keep up, and you know, if I feel like I'm really not improving or just kind of living off my reputation, then I wouldn't compete anymore.
What still drives you on? What's left to prove?
I guess what drives me nowadays is just being part of all the excitement again, you know. And skating is once again popular, and there's so many opportunities for the skaters, and if I can facilitate that in any way, I just want to keep doing it.
When you've actually finished a run, and so what's the feeling like if you've really done a fantastic run?
Let's wait for that guy. Okay.
Just kind of, if you can try and describe the feeling when you know, finished a really great run.
Well, when you've had a really good run in a contest, you know, and you tried riskier things and you didn't really hold back, and you pulled off. I don't know, that's just, you know, the most elating experience, because that's the form where you need to do it. You know, you can do it all you want in practice, and you can have your best run ever, but if you can do that in a competition, then there's just no comparison.
Sure. Okay, that's it.
Sure.
Yeah. We just need to.